Welcome to this week's Dramatic Drama Weekend.
This is a message from the future. This job has an electrifying lead from Big Love Story. You have a constitution or your robots. Stop watching this review now. Elaborate about adventurous and philosophical to proceed knowing the review of the J-drama Kyoto.
Kyoto, which is roughly translated into English into cute, begins with a high school student, Heita, who is a former heart surgery patient and since childhood has been fascinated with people's teeth. He thinks that the teeth looks like the keys of a piano, and if you touch them, that they might make a sound. Now that he's older, he knows that he's not supposed to touch people's teeth. However, he's still inclined to do so. Why is this important? Because the teeth of a robot woman that the principal of his high school found make musical noises when you touch them. This sound activates the robot, and who would be weird enough to touch a lifeless person's teeth? That would be Heita! After waking up, the robot demands to be named, and in haste, Heita names her after the digits on the bottom of her foot, which are Q10, or as you say it in Japanese, Kyoto. And apparently it's quite natural in Japan to find a robot woman and just kind of accept her as one of your own. Because the principal and the other two teachers aren't afraid of the fact that she is a rather lifelike looking robot, but decide that she needs an education and puts her into school. Sounds like a plan destined to fail, right? Well, actually, the student body don't seem to notice the difference between her and other normal girls. Even though she doesn't blink and she walks, talks, sits, and does everything like a robot. What can I say? Japan's pretty awesome. But this really isn't the issue in this storyline. It's more the fact that she's a robot of unknown origins and the fact that Heita is starting to fall in love with this robot, along with other personal issues that they like to address in each episode. And from all these questions and intrigue comes a very thrilling and riveting story. And for the rest of it, you're just going to have to watch it to find out, or watch the rest of my review because I'm a dirty, rotten ending spoiler. The side stories were truly the feed of the rest of the story. Though the main story, yes, was very important, the side stories gave examples of what the main leads were going through. Well, when I say main leads, I mean one main lead because Kyoto has no feelings. They also helped to raise questions. And what makes this story completely awesome is that each side story represented a different question or different issue. All of these stories were representations of what Heita was going through with the struggle with Kyoto. My personal favorite side stories was that of the rockstar high school schoolmate Yamamoto and the heart patient friend Takahiko. Their story represented two questions. The first question is, why bother even living in this world? And the second was, am I okay with who I am? I personally loved their love story more than I did of Kyoto and Heita. I liked it not only because it was actually human, but for once it was actually quite simple. Yamamoto gave Takahiko his reason to live, and Takahiko gave Yamamoto her reason to be okay with herself. He saw her for who she was, she saw him for who he was, and they were okay with each other. In fact, they supported each other and encouraged each other to be more like themselves, and to live out their life in a world, just because of simple things. The story is brilliant! And then we have the love story of Satoshi and Namiko. Their love story was kind of hard to figure out their symbolism of, but I came up with love versus reason. Should they break up? Should they stay together? Should they listen to reason or should they just love? This question really was never answered in the end. Now there are smaller side stories in here that weren't focused on very much, but were still just as important. I'm not going to focus on all of them, but I'm going to focus on one that I felt was very important to the issue. And that's the side story of June. He represented the issue of obsession. But all these segues boiled down to one question that the entire drama was centered on. And that question was, is it okay to like what I like? And is it okay to do what I want to do? Kyoto is an interesting main lead. She basically is the definition of a doormat because she's a robot that does whatever you tell her to. So she will be getting a 5 out of 5 on the doormat scale. But wait just 1 second. Is she a doormat because she is that way by nature? Or is she a doormat because of what she has learned from human beings? And another reason why this drama is so awesome, because she was learning everything from us. She didn't have any knowledge about the way society worked or how human beings lived. She'd be constantly asking questions about the unspoken rules that we have in our society. And she started finding foundational issues with those unspoken rules, such as ignoring something out of kindness. Well, are we ignoring them because we want to be kind? Or are we ignoring them because it makes us uncomfortable? Is our love or obsession something we should hide due to judgment of the world? Such as loving and obsessing over a comic book or loving a telephone pole? But that's why I enjoyed Kyoto's character so much, is because she did ask the questions that we should have been asking in the first place. However, she was also really creepy. Dramatic confession time. It actually took me a lot of courage to watch this drama. I have a deathly fear of robots. It's right up there with vampires and tops from Big Bang. Like, it's huge. It's a huge fear. But the plot looked really good, so I decided to muster up enough courage and mentally prepare myself that this was an actress playing a robot before I could watch it. But halfway through the drama, I started to think that maybe she actually was a robot that they made to look like the actress and that she just played the voice and that it was a real robot on screen, and I started to freak out. But then this scene happened. And I was sure she was a real person and she was just a really good actress. Which, I applaud her on her ability to act like a robot, but I'm also really scared of her now. I will forever appreciate her acting ability, but we are not allowed to be within 10 feet of each other. Robots. Heita wasn't really a jerk-face character. He was just a creeper. So he'll receive a rating of 0 on the jerk-face scale. He was just a little odd with his fascination with teeth and all. However, he was the sweetest sweetie that there ever was. Even when he was acting indifferent towards Kyoto, he was still nice enough to answer all of her questions that she had. Even when he was really annoyed, he was still super nice. He even went to the trouble to wrap her in plastic and duct tape when her battery died on the street and it was raining. Okay, that sounded really weird, but in this situation, it was really cute because she's a robot. But yeah, if you were a passerby and you saw this going on. Oh, stop. Cookie. However, he was also human. And he wanted to have a very human romance, which was something that Kyoto could never give. Unless you use those sketchy emotion cards that was given to him from that lady we never found out who she really was. However, that made this love story more realistic, because he had to fight with the fact that she didn't act like the rest of the girls and wasn't human. And from that, the writers could have done this really incredibly epic ending that they didn't do. But we'll get back to that later. Side note, did anyone else kind of expect him to go oro every now and then? I did. Any Rurouni Kenshin fans in the house? Just me? Okay. There was no losing nice guy, so instead enjoy this really adorable scene. If you are looking for an epic high school romance, then this drama is definitely not for you. Head over to Boys Over Flowers or Playful Kiss or something like that. Though there were some romantic scenes in this plot that wasn't the focus. Mostly it just kind of messed with your mind and made you think outside the box and make you realize all the things that are screwed up in our world that need to change. It just made you think, which is why I freaking love this drama. And as it got closer to the end, it got more intense and you started to wonder and question about who Kyoto was and why she was there. What was her purpose? Is she taking over the world? Is she somehow going to replace all humans? What's going on? That is until you find out where Kyoto's from and then you're slightly disappointed, but you're okay with it. It's okay. Kyoto turned out to be a camera to the past, which is still kind of cool because she was sending images of young Heita to Heita's future wife when she's old and dying. It's pretty romantic. But just not as epic as I thought it was going to be. I've got conspiracy issues, okay? They made up for that disappointment, however, with the twist in the end with Kyoto looking exactly like his future wife when they meet when they're young. Oh! So we believe this whole time that he was in love with Kyoto is because he was actually already in love with his future wife. So it made their relationship a little less weird to me. Because in the end, all the love that he was showing towards Kyoto was actually just the love that he was already feeling for his life. He loved her before he met her. And that love was so strong and so true that he was willing to be extremely weird just to be with her. But then it flopped again in the actual ending. When Kyoto leaves for good, Heita sees the real-life Kyoto crying on a bridge, and he runs up thinking it's the robot Kyoto, but it isn't, and by the time he gets there, he realizes that it isn't her and she's gone by then. And you don't see her again until Kyoto is actually sent back to the future, and he meets up with her, and he looks at the real Kyoto like it's strange that she's human. And then they start to date, but he always misses the robot Kyoto because he loves and misses her. Now, I don't profess to be an educated and professional writer. However, I feel like I have a better ending than that, okay? Would you like to hear it? Alright, I have the official ending to Kyoto the way it should be. Alright, so when Kyoto is reset and sent back to the future the first time, she actually is reset and sent back to the future. Instead, after hearing about his wife in the future, Heita still misses the robot Kyoto, but understands why she needs to go back. This is when Heita sees the real Kyoto crying on the bridge, and he runs out to find out if it's the robot Kyoto, but he realizes it isn't, and it's all awkward. And this is where they stare at each other for a long pause, and he states in his inner monologue that all along he's been in love with the real Kyoto, and the feelings he had for the robot Kyoto were actually the feelings he had for her. And the reason why it was always weird with the robot Kyoto is because it wasn't completely her. Then we show shots of them dating and doing things he could never do with the robot Kyoto, and he realizes that though he loved Kyoto as much as the world, he loved his wife more than the world. Then we end it with a shot of them getting married, which brings us full circle but also looks forward to the future. That is all. I'm going to take a nap now. What can I say? I'm an awesome writer. But other than the really silly ending, it literally was a breath of fresh air after all of the dramas that had been bogging me down with all the romance and all the random drama. So I give it a 10 out of 10 on the DDW scale. Good work, Kyoto!
Please hang up and try again.
Thank you for allowing me to make your weekend even more dramatic than it already was. If you'd like to see me review one of your favorite dramas, go to our website, NamasteDwaejiKim.blogspot.com, click on the tab on the top that says Mindy the Prima Donna, and there will be a poll up to the right where you can vote for the next drama that I will review. See you next time!